Who is Penelope in the Odyssey? Explained, the queen who never gave up on Odysseus. Warning, this video contains spoilers for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. When people think about The Odyssey, they usually remember Odysseus battling the Cyclops, escaping the Sirens, surviving Poseidon's wrath, or outsmarting mythical monsters across the seas. But behind every step of his legendary journey stands one of the most important and often overlooked characters in Greek mythology, Penelope. Played beautifully by Anne Hathaway in Christopher Nolan's adaptation, Penelope is much more than Odysseus' wife. She is the emotional heart of the story, the Queen of Ithaca, and the person whose unwavering hope gives Odysseus a reason to keep fighting for 20 long years. Without Penelope, there will be no journey home. So, who exactly is Penelope, and why is she considered one of the greatest female characters in all of Greek mythology? Let's break it down. Who is Penelope? Penelope is the Queen of Ithaca, the wife of Odysseus, and the mother of Telemachus. When the Trojan War begins, Odysseus leaves Ithaca to fight alongside the Greek kings against Troy. What he believes will be a short campaign turns into a nightmare. The war itself lasts 10 years. Then, because of Poseidon's curse and countless dangerous adventures, Odysseus spends another 10 years trying to return home. That means Penelope waits for him for nearly 20 years. Think about that for a moment. For 2 decades, she has no idea whether her husband is alive or dead. There are no letters, no messenger she can trust, no certainty that he will ever come home. Yet she refuses to give up hope. That incredible patience is one of the reasons Penelope has become a symbol of loyalty and devotion for thousands of years. Why do so many men want to marry Penelope? As Odysseus remains missing, the situation in Ithaca becomes increasingly dangerous. Many powerful noblemen believe the king has died during the war. If Odysseus is truly gone, someone else should claim the throne. And the easiest way to become king is to marry Penelope. Soon, more than 100 suitors fill the royal palace. They eat the kingdom's food, drink its wine, spend its wealth, and pressure Penelope every single day to choose one of them as her new husband. They're not there because they love her. They're there because they want power. Whoever marries Penelope becomes the ruler of Ithaca. For years, Penelope stands alone against them. It's one of the greatest acts of courage in the entire story, Penelope's brilliant trick. One of the most famous moments from Homer's original poem is Penelope's clever plan to delay the suitors. She tells them she'll choose a husband after finishing a burial shroud for Odysseus' elderly father, Laertes. Every day, she sits at her loom and weaves the cloth. The suitors believe she's making progress. But every night, after everyone goes to sleep, Penelope secretly unravels everything she wove during the day. The work never gets finished. Days become months. Months become years. Her intelligence buys precious time while she continues hoping Odysseus will return. It's one of the greatest examples of wisdom in Greek mythology. Interestingly, Christopher Nolan's adaptation doesn't spend as much time focusing on the weaving itself. Instead, it highlights Penelope's emotional resilience and quiet strength, making her determination the true centerpiece of her character. How Christopher Nolan changes Penelope. In Homer's epic, Penelope is already a remarkable character, but Christopher Nolan gives her even greater emotional depth. Rather than simply waiting in the palace, Anne Hathaway portrays Penelope as someone constantly balancing hope with heartbreak. Every day she must make impossible decisions. She has to protect her son, maintain order in Ithaca, resist the growing pressure from the suitors, and somehow continue believing that Odysseus will come home after 20 years. Nolan allows audiences to feel the emotional weight of those years. You can see it in her expressions, her conversations with Telemachus, her moments of quiet reflection. Instead of presenting Penelope as someone waiting to be rescued, the film shows that she's been fighting her own battle all along. Her battlefield just happens to be inside the palace instead of on the open sea. Penelope and Telemachus. While Odysseus is struggling to survive across the Mediterranean, Penelope has another responsibility: raising Telemachus. When Odysseus leaves for Troy, Telemachus is only an infant. By the time Odysseus returns, his son has become a young man searching for answers about the father he barely remembers. Penelope becomes both mother and father. She raises him to be kind, wise, patient, and strong enough to defend their family. Throughout the film, her relationship with Telemachus becomes one of the emotional highlights. She constantly encourages him to believe that his father is still alive, even during moments when she herself begins to lose hope. That faith shapes Telemachus into the leader he eventually becomes. The emotional reunion. One of the most powerful scenes in both Homer's poem and Christopher Nolan's adaptation is the reunion between Odysseus and Penelope. After 20 years apart, you'd expect Penelope to immediately embrace her husband. Instead, she hesitates. Why? Because she's too intelligent to trust appearances. Many imposters have claimed to be Odysseus over the years. She needs proof. In Homer's story, she tests him using the secret of their marriage bed. Only the real Odysseus knows that their bed was carved around the trunk of a living olive tree and cannot be moved. When Odysseus reacts with confusion and anger at the suggestion that the bed has been moved, Penelope finally knows the truth. The man standing before her is really her husband. Christopher Nolan keeps the emotional essence of this moment while making their reunion feel even more intimate and heartfelt. It's not simply about recognizing each other. It's about two people finally finding one another after losing 20 years of their lives. Why Penelope leaves Ithaca? One of Christopher Nolan's biggest changes comes during the ending. In Homer's original poem, Penelope remains queen as Odysseus continues ruling Ithaca. Nolan takes a different path. After Odysseus decides to step away from the throne and entrust the kingdom to Telemachus, Penelope makes an unexpected decision. She goes with him. Rather than choosing power, status, or the palace, she chooses her husband. It's a deeply emotional conclusion. For 20 years, they dreamed of simply being together again. Now that dream finally becomes reality. Their final voyage isn't another adventure. It's a journey toward peace. A chance to leave behind war, politics, and the burdens they've carried for most of their lives. In Nolan's version, Penelope isn't following Odysseus because she has to. She's choosing the life they were both denied for decades. Why Penelope is one of Greek mythology's greatest heroes. Penelope never fights monsters. She never sails across dangerous seas. She never carries a sword into battle. Yet she's every bit as heroic as Odysseus. Her greatest weapon is patience. Her greatest strength is hope. Her greatest victory is refusing to surrender to despair. While Odysseus battles cyclopes, sirens, and angry gods, Penelope fights loneliness, uncertainty, political pressure, and the constant fear that she'll never see her family reunited. Both characters are on impossible journeys. One happens across oceans, the other happens within the walls of a palace. And both require extraordinary courage. That's what makes Penelope such a timeless character. She's not remembered because she was the strongest. She's remembered because she never stopped believing,